What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Dan and Luke from Daft Previews. We're here to preview round 6 of the NRL. Luke, hey, crack a big fella.
Good, mate. Yourself? I don't know if your mic's right either, by the way.
What do you mean? What's wrong with the fucker?
It's very echoey. Like it's only coming through your mic. Might have come through your laptop. But I'm good. I had a 6 and 5 week, so the theory of throwing out a lot of tips seems to have landed okay. So I'm probably gonna I am doing the same again. So I'm throwing out a ton of picks.
You got heaps.
Yeah, you sound a lot better, by the way.
Yeah.
Interesting weekend.
It really was. Look, I found it extremely difficult from a betting perspective, but I thought a lot of the games were very interesting. What did we see last week and what absolutely fucked me? Roosters copped bang the Eels, 1-12, 28-20. I saw that one coming. Started off the round very well. Panthers gave the Raiders a hiding, and I thought that would happen, but I didn't think there'd be that many points.
No, it was 13. It was 13-6 at halftime.
I know. And then 40-point second half out of the Panthers. Absolutely cooked that game. Weak gutted dogs, the Raiders. We saw the Storm get a close win against the Rabbitohs. I expected that to be close and low scoring, but being greedy took the Rabbitohs as well on top of the unders. So my greed cooked me there. Manly in the Knights, 32 all. Absolutely ridiculous scenes in that game out in Mudgee. They're still both unbeaten in Mudgee. So
yes, that record Who would have thought that? Who would have thought that?
We had the Dragons absolutely punish the Dolphins. I was completely wrong about that one. We had the Broncos punish the Tigers. I was a little bit concerned, but my boys put in a solid effort there. Absolutely destroyed these Pascoe-led wankers. The Warriors, one of the greatest comebacks you'll ever see against the Cronulla Sharks. So that was a fantastic game. Dogs Cowboys, that actually went according to plan. So I only read 2 games right. I read my scripts were all over the place. That one I had Dogs 1-12 and I had the unders. So that one went just as predicted. But how about you? How were your scripts for last week?
Not too bad, to be honest. I went a bit quiet there in the middle of the week. I started well, obviously, having the Roosters to cover the line. I had Canberra under 12.5 points, which looked pretty good, but I also had under 39.5 in that game, the Panthers-Canberra. That went over very quickly. Unders in the South, Melbourne, which was good as well. But then I had Manly to cover the line. And to be honest, after even Olakau'atu scoring, it looked okay, but then that was a very bizarre game. St. George and Dolphins overs in the second half again. Went to script.
Yep.
Probably the one that did not go to script and is probably the most disappointing team I've seen was the Tigers Broncos. Yeah, like I couldn't even get 12.5 points. They were fucking awful, like shocking. I had under 26.5 points for Cronulla. They basically got that in the first 50 minutes, but didn't score after that and lost the game. Yeah, so it was a very bizarre one. But then last game I had Dogs head-to-head and under 40.5. So the 4 unders was safe. The Dogs winning. Oh, Jesus, both teams are awful.
The Cowboys should have won that one.
Yeah, Cowboys, again, dropping points, which is very good for my miss the 8 bet. My cash out's I've nearly got double the offer for a cash out. So
hey, let's go. I wanted to ask you, I want to switch it up a little bit. Since we were doing a quick review of the round, not going to go through all the games, but which 2 players stood out to you the most last week?
Players. Cleary obviously was again solid from Panthers. I think Munster. I think just showed Munster's probably the most valuable player because Melbourne just looked totally different without him. That was my big key. He is a freak. Like he's just the biggest disappointment for me. I think is Latrell though.
Oh yeah,
like he's just looks passenger. Like just doesn't seem to be interested. Doesn't seem to want to get involved. Payne Haas's quality. Lazy, it just doesn't compared to the other fullbacks. If they probably do have tracking data, he would cover a third of the distance the other fullbacks cover. He just looked very disinterested there until like the literally last few minutes. So his goal kicking last year was actually on point, and he's missing a lot of kicks now.
Yeah, that's true. Who stood out for me? Obviously, Sean Johnson. I'm a big Sean Johnson fan. Starting 5'8" in my fantasy team. Had an absolute blinder, led the comeback, one of the greatest comebacks you'll ever see in points bet, and the way that it finished, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. And my man Payne Haas, he's taking it up another gear, like just
He has.
free. Like he's playing that good. Everyone who owns Carrigan should get rid of him. Get rid of Carrigan, because part of Carrigan's excelling last year was because Payne took a backward step. He was distracted, didn't play as well, so Carrigan stepped up. Payne's been an absolute fucking freak, and if he can get a couple offloads every game, it's going to be some arousing stuff out of the boys out of Suncorp. So that really stood out for me.
I had a same game multi on Saturday. Two multis actually. I had one because Sportsbet gave that $100 bonus bet to your punt with mates group bet with mates group, and one of them we had Jordan Ricky, Payne Haas, and all we needed was Reece Walsh. And the other one I had a couple of, and all I needed was Reece Walsh. How didn't Reece Walsh score? Like Jesus, be a hog.
He did everything else.
Just hog it. Like yeah.
I think there were a lot of people burnt by Reece Walsh last week.
But,
it's a bonus bet. You got to have some fun with it. So
yeah,
fuck no. For all of you guys watching this live and getting your comments in, feel free to flood the chat the way you normally do, and I'll just randomly select them and I'll pop them up. Lachlan, if you want to have a crack at Luke for fantasy, I'd encourage you not to. But talk your talk.
Have a crack,
mate. Give it to him.
Have a dig.
Have a dig.
Building an empire.
Building an empire. We do have some games to preview. It is a Easter long weekend, so games spanning from Thursday all the way through to Monday. So all your rugby league action shall be taken care of. Do you have much planned for this weekend, Luke? We'll be sitting on the couch ripping through these games. Or?
Actually, a lot of footy time to watch footy, which would be good. Chilled weekend. What about you?
I'm going up to the motherland Friday evening. Going up to Brizzy.
Are you really?
Not to watch the boys, just got some family up there. I'll watch them from the comfort of someone's couch. But pretty keen for that. Come back probably Sunday night, Monday morning, who the fuck knows. But it's good to get out of Sydney for a bit.
Yeah.
All right. So we encourage Lockie to talk shit, but someone else wants to have a crack. So get ready for your first L this week on fantasy.
That's clearly not at me.
Well, I'm still undefeated. I think on the last week I was in the top 4,000 out of the 180,000 people playing in fantasy. So, look, I was that confident. I'm not even going to use my trades this week. Got a few players injured. Nakora suspended. I'm not even going to trade him out. I'm just going to fucking roll with it, get my emergencies out, and I'm going to whoop this motherfucker's ass. So, good luck to you, Huncho. But couple of games to get through. I've got 4 bets. How many do you have, Luke? 163 this week?
10. Fat 10. Yeah.
Fat 10. Okay. We crunched the numbers. You're hitting at about 53.3% this year. I'm at 55%. So if you do tell these, you're not losing money, but you're not winning as much. The only one I got last week was Roosters 1 to 12. It was plus money, but not counting units here, just getting the percentages right. So I've got another 4 this week. Luke's got 10, so let's get straight into it. First game's on Thursday evening. It's the Melbourne Storm versus the Sydney Roosters. This is at Amy Park. The line in this one is 1.5 rugby league points. Key changes, Jerome Hughes is back for the Melbourne Storm, and James Tedesco has a headache. So Joey Manu's going to be playing fullback. I expect Suwali to have a crack. Just, spend a little bit of time there once Joey gets a little bit tired, but Joey gets first crack at fullback for the Roosters. It's going to be an excellent game. I did some research for it, tried to figure out which way I was going to go. Man, I couldn't land on anything. The closest I got to was Melbourne and cover, but at the same time, this Roosters team's not looking too bad. 3 wins on the trot. Melbourne have turned it around. I'd say last week, the win against the Tigers, I wouldn't say was a turnaround. They still look pretty average, but last week, the Mad Dog, he went off. So, what are your thoughts on this game? You got to play on it. How does it finish?
Yeah, I got 2 players on this game, which I just said earlier. Munster is a massive difference, and plus they get Hughes back. So I've got Melbourne to cover the line, and I got under 39.5. I think looking at the Roosters
thinking
this
that
year,
too. I was thinking both of those things.
There you go.
Yeah.
Roosters have playing their way into the season pretty solidly. They did beat Para last week, but I think the biggest, I know they covered the line bet for me, but they should have won by more. I thought,
oh yeah, they took the foot off the pedal.
They drift in and out of games for me. The week they did have the bye, maybe that was a reason why, but yeah, just not the Roosters for me. Haven't been as. I think Melbourne are going to get better with the players they're getting back. I think Tedesco's a huge out. Obviously, he's the best fullback in the game. So I think, and at home, which the Roosters have played three home games, one away game, and that one away game they did lose. So I think this is a -2.5. And Melbourne have a good record in Melbourne against the Roosters. I know they lost there last year. That was a brutal game, but that was Roosters at their best at the time. So I'm taking the -2.5 and under 39.5. Again, two top clubs who will do what they can to hold each other out.
Yeah, I was thinking the same. I was heavily leaning the Storm to cover, but then I was thinking this forward pack for the Roosters, it's a lot better than the Melbourne Storm forward pack, so that's where I'm a little bit worried. For the Storm, I think Cam Munster, if he plays the way that he can, he's huge. Jerome Hughes being in, he's good, but yeah, I just don't have enough confidence to take a bet on this one. Obviously, I'll come up with some sort of multi. I think it's going to be a great game. I'll enjoy the spectacle. I was looking at the unders, but I think in the last 5, it's gone under 3 of the 5, but the 2 that went over really went over. I also considered just taking the Roosters under, but just need to get a sweep here. I'm really looking for the sweep this week, so I've taken my time, choosing not to choose this one. Sweet Huncho's thinking the Storm under 12. He reckons the Mad Dog's going to have an absolute blinder. What else? Mad Dog's getting very busy in here. He's got footage of Paps kicking the ball around at training. Should be a boost for the Storm. Hopefully, he'll be coming back within the next 4 weeks or so. So, what are your thoughts on that? So, you got an injured bloke, comes back into training and just kicking the ball around. Does that inspire the boys or?
Probably not, to be honest. They've probably seen kicking the ball going, okay, can he run? I don't know what to go.
Pappenhausen kicking the ball around at training or
Pascoe
running, taking you through your warm-ups?
Oh, fucking probably Pappenhausen who can't walk. Pascoe's fucked. I hate him if no one's ever picked up on that.
I know you do. We'll get to the Tigers in time. We'll get there. But no, look, I agree. I like the Storm to win this game. That line's not very big, but at the same time, a lot of fucking games are going close at the moment. If you got your sports bet open, what's it paying to go to Golden Point? Just out of curiosity, because that's fucking happening every week.
There was a few of those going on. Golden Point. Where does that come under? Win markets, match markets. No. Oh yeah, well, they're extra time. $13 for yes. Obviously.
$13. I was thinking about chucking $10 on every single game, but the Broncos and Panthers game to go to Golden Point. Just to see what happens. You just need one.
You'll break sports bet, but yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what it'll cost me $60, but do it 6 out of the 8 games.
Tell you what, imagine if you had even Sunday's games last week. You had the Warriors Sharks into Golden Point into the Dogs Cowboys.
That's what's inspired me to think about
You'd be filthy about Nico Hines missing that kick.
Yeah, I know. But that's what inspired me. I saw a lot of people just chucking them on. $10, $15 on Golden Point. Someone even had it in the Manly game. I was paying $51. Yeah,
crazy. But somebody also on Thursday night, King scored the first try. A lot of people get those boosted odds.
The boost was $291 or something.
Yeah, 291 or something. People had for first try scorer. That's fucking insane.
Did you see that bloke who had $80 on 5 try scorers on Sunday? 176K.
Yeah, one day that'll be us.
Absolute fucking shit show. You can only dream, but. But one of the bad things about betting is the fact that everybody shares their winning slips around, and that just feeds the beast, right? You see these winning slips and you think, fuck, I need to have a crack at that. And you get a million degenerate gamblers thinking, I'm going to have a crack because I can win this.
Yes.
No surprise to see why Australia are the worst gamblers in the world. But
free advertising that the bookies love.
Look, if you're going to have a crack at those, have a crack, but please just use your fucking bonus bets. And if you're a dumb fuck who bets that way, when you get a bonus bet, you can split it 10 times. Split it 10 times and just do all the dumb bets you want to. But with your actual cash, be smart about it. Play singles. Look for $2 odds. Just Just think about the value, boys. I'm not going to rant on any further. Let's talk about Good Friday. Good Friday, Friday the 7th. First game for the day. Looking at the Bulldogs versus the Rabbitohs at 4 p.m. in the Arvo. The line in this one's 9.5 points. Souths being the favourites at $1.31. Total points you're looking at 41.5 points. My apologies. For the Dogs, they're missing a whole lot of motherfuckers here. And even the ones that are playing, probably playing injured. For the Rabbitohs, they're only missing Alex Johnston. And the headhunter, Tane Milne, takes his spot. And Totola's back in the squad. So South looking very healthy. It's a bounce-back game here after losing to Melbourne last week. The Dogs got that cheeky win against the Cows by 1 point. I was heavily leaning the South to cover in this one, but I was a bit worried because it's a Good Friday, and apparently some weird shit happens on Good Friday. So I do have my thoughts and my opinions, but over to you. Do you have a bet on this one?
I have one, and I was leaning the same way as well because Souths historically do all right on Good Friday against the Dogs, but it is a weird time. I've just gone the unders, under 41.5. I think, looking at both teams, their attack like the Dogs' attack is literally
it's terrible.
Grubber
kick go forward this week.
Yeah, chip over the top to Adokar or short ball to whatever his name is. I can't remember now. Jacob Preston. That's their play. They had so many chances against the Cowboys. So did Cowboys, mind you, who attack is clearly missing players. Either team, I don't think so. There is, and also I did look at the weather. There is a high chance of rain and thunderstorms in the afternoon this game. So if it pisses down, which Sydney has already been wet all week, it's not going to be ideal conditions. And the big thing for me is the goal kicking again. Like Latrell's goal kicking is awful at the moment, and so is Burton's. So
yeah, I think the Bulldogs will struggle to score points. I did consider their unders. No forwards. Halves not doing very well. Flanagan's taken the line on, but not in a threatening way. He's just not passing it.
He's shit.
Very strange. Like he's probably listening to the guys on 360 or something, and he's running the ball, but it's not in a very threatening manner. It's a slow play of the ball. Questioning why he's there because he doesn't kick on the last either. Like he's just, Howdy, Steve-O. It's good to see you, Stavros. But yeah, I was looking at the unders because, South's had a couple of weeks now, 2 weeks in a row. Quite low scoring games, which means defensively they're probably good. So I looked at the Bulldogs unders. I like Souths to cover, but weird shit can happen in this game. And me being conservative, being safe here, not touching it, not touching this game. Might just enjoy it. And then as soon as the game finishes, I'll probably be on my way to the airport. So I'll have a multi on it, but for me, leaning Souths, but nothing I can confidently take. Just don't know. Latrell's there. Who knows if he turns up on this Good Friday? And the fact that Souths haven't been able to score points in the last fortnight as well makes me question some things. So they're normally quite dynamic in attack. Their number one try scorer is not there. Can they get enough points? I think they'll win it for sure, but at $1.30, you can't play that on its own. You've got to have some other shit in there. So, yeah, it's sort of any other thoughts on this game?
No, I think that's it'll be a good game though. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Look, Hunter goes with us. Burton controls majority of the game, and at the same time, Burton's not even good at that.
No, he's not a person who controls.
He's not a conductor.
Yeah.
He's got to play outside of one. So, yeah. Look, question marks on the Dogs. No forwards. Fucking Max King's going to be playing with one eye. He's going to look like the hunchback of Notre Dame. Preston's going to be playing with one hand. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. But it is Good Friday. They could lift. The boys could lift. There's a lot of feeling in this game. So, we shall see. Was it the Sam Burgess, James Graham thing? That was on a Good Friday, right?
Correct.
Yeah. That's what I think about, and I think the boys will lift. But
there's that. There was the year with the charge down where Graham took the play, Adam Reynolds' legs out.
Yeah.
And then the refs got pelted with bottles and the ref slipped over and fell over when he was walking off. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
So don't condone violence, but thought it was funny.
Never. But no, I think unders, that 41.5 pretty juicy. Unders probably a great play. I don't see South dropping more than 30, and I can't see the Dogs scoring more than 3 tries, to be honest. So, but yeah, let's get into the next one. Another Queensland derby. It's the North Queensland Cowboys versus it's just the Dolphins. We don't know where the fuck they're from. The line in this one is 10.5 points. It's already started to move. I think it was 8.5 on Sunday, 9.5 yesterday, out to 10.5 now. Cowboys clearly favourites at $1.35. Total points you're looking at is 42.5. We know star halfback Anthony Milford is out for the Dolphins. He'll be out for 3 to 4 weeks. Cody steps into his place, and Edric Lee is back. They're still missing quite a few other players. And the bloke that broke Corey Oates' face, Drinkwater, is back for the Cowboys. And for your fantasy team, Ruben Cotter looks set to return.
Hooray.
So, hooray. Now, I know you're not a big fan of the Cowboys. Got money on them to fall out of the 8s. But have you got them to cover the line in this game?
I do.
You do?
Yeah, this is the Dolphins, which I predicted at the start of the season. Obviously, they played well, but the depth's going to kill them. They're missing. I know Milford's shit, but Milford's gone. Sullivan's gone. They are really
have no kicker at all. They
have
30 meters at the end of
they're
every
tapping. Yeah, they're tapping the well now in terms of players to steer them around the park. So yeah, it's probably the smallest halves combination I've ever seen in a long time. Anyway, Katoa and Nicarima.
It was probably since Nicarima and Milford.
Probably, yeah. So, yeah, I can't see this team. They're still missing Kafusi, which is going to hurt them.
Do you think the Dolphins lift because it's a derby game?
It is, but also I think it's a big game for the Cowboys. Must win.
Yes.
They must be up for it. Drinkwater's obviously they're getting players back, which is going to help. So
yeah,
I like them to cover the line here. I can't see any other thing, and I've also gone over 40.5 because I think the Dolphins are going to be teams that I'm tempted to also chuck in, which I haven't. The second half points. I think this is again it'll blow out in the second half. Like Dolphins will hang, but then yeah,
they can only hang for so long. I can see them going, a couple of weeks in a row, get copping a 13 plus. This is part of the season where things start to balance out. They started off very well, but we all knew that their team was shit. They were just playing well at the time. But you can't maintain that. Like, you need good players to win games. My play on this one, I'm taking the Dolphins on 14.5 points. That's way too much. As you said, they're missing halves that are going to create points. And even to build pressure, can't grubber, can't kick long. They'll run it on the last every single time. They've also scored 12 points in 2 straight games. The Cowboys have held their opposition to 14 points or less in 2 straight games. It's also a bounce-back game. After they lost against the Dogs, they should have won it. I reckon they bounce back, and they bounce back well. I did consider taking them at the line, but what if it's a gritty defensive game? That's what I'm protecting myself for, and the Cows win, 18-6 or 18-12, 18 whatever. I'm liking the Dolphins. That 14.5 is too big. I would have taken that all the way down to 12.5.
So we're on different pages here, eh?
Are we? I'm thinking the Dolphins are going to be shit.
Oh, okay. At least said they cover. That's too much. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. I think the Cowboys will cover, but just protecting myself just in case it is a gritty defensive battle like the Cowboys' last 2 games and like the Dolphins game against the Broncos. Just in case it's something like that and the Cowboys want to play with their food and fuck things up, I'm just taking the Dolphins unders.
Fair enough.
Let's eat, baby. You're probably keen to talk about this one. It's a great game. Penrith Panthers versus the Manly Sea Eagles on your slutty Saturday. We've got 2 games this Saturday. The line in this one's 9.5 points. Penrith favourites at $1.35. The line points line is 42.5. Fisher Harris is out. Sonny Luke is back. And for the Eagles, Saab's back. I don't know why everyone's making. I don't even know why that's a headline, honestly. But he's back. Schuster is back. So Manly fielding a team pretty much as strong as they possibly could. Penrith fresh off a demolition job here. So games at Bluebet Stadium absolutely thumped the Panthers. Firstly, did you see that humping coming?
No, I didn't, but I have been saying there will come a point where they'll click, and the one thing that's been consistent is their defense throughout. And even in the first half, they had a player in the bin, Crichton got sin binned, and they still kept the Raiders to 6 points. They were desperate, made a try-saving tackle there. So the defense has been consistent. It was just their attack hadn't quite fired yet. And it's still I think Hosking is the key now in that team. But Sonny Taruva as well, some really good solo tries.
Yeah. He's bloody excellent, that guy. He's just got his youth and energetic and power and very good. He's a very good player. How many bets have you got on your Panthers in this game?
2 and my logs for the week.
Let me hear them.
Absolute jam. Penrith minus 9.5, under 16.5 Manly points. Absolute money jam. It's value of the week.
16.5 for Manly, eh? Shit.
Yeah, 16.5. They're backing, again, Penrith. That is literally all they concede all year. They think this Manly team are going to score more than the 16.5. Oh, the line at 16.5. The reason being is Manly now, back-to-back week, Golden Point games. They lost one and they drew one. So they've come away 1 point in 2 weeks. And I think also Penrith, on the other hand, are getting better. I think Manly probably have shown that they're not the force to be reckoned with. I think Penrith cover the line. It's a home game for them. It's a Saturday. I think, they cover that line and they keep them pretty low scoring. Tommy Turbo, for me, is clearly holding back. So I think that's probably helping them. And then Sonny, that's what I was about to get onto. Sonny Luke's back in the squad, so there's going to have that bit of punch through the middle. But having said that, Tyrone Peachy didn't do a bad job the other night either. So I think Penrith...
That's the only thing Peachy can do well.
Yeah.
Spark us off the bench, bro.
Penrith still went a little bit side, but in the second half, they just went through the middle. And that worked. Like, you look at James Savage try, you look at Peachy's try, you look at Tago, like even their first try was running through the middle, kick through the middle. When they play straight, they're very hard to stop. So,
yeah, I was thinking the same. I ultimately landed on the Panthers over 25.5 points. They've covered 25.5 plus points in 4 straight games against Manly. 28, 46, and 42. Manly have leaked 30 plus points in 2 or 4 games so far this season. I think Penrith's attack is starting to click a little bit better after a slow start to the year, and obviously that Sonny Luke factor as well. I also looked at the Manly under 16.5. The only thing that really worried me was probably just the Schuster impact. I find for a fat sloppy fucker, he digs into the line and creates outside space like so well, and I don't know how he does it because he's not a threat to get through the line. He never plays short, but the way that he does it is excellent. I don't know. That worries me a little bit. Could be a couple cheeky ones late in the game when nothing matters, but I do like the under 16.5. I like Penrith to cover, but what I like most is just Penrith to pound these motherfuckers. 25.5 points. I'd play it up to 30. Just give it to me. I reckon they're going to make it rain on them. Did not check the weather, though. What's that looking like?
Fairly sunny at this stage, but it's going to be on the back of Friday, Wednesday. So tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, it's raining, and then Saturday, so it could still be a bit damp,
moist.
But it would be nice. Again, Penrith get good conditions, which is rare these days. They're a much better team, so
yeah, and it's also a Seabold thing, right? Seabold's first 4 or 5 games for the Broncos. We look fucking excellent. Scandals are starting to come by, mate. Blokes getting pissed, falling asleep in Macca's. Who knows what else he's doing behind the scenes? Loves to party, young Seabold.
He does.
Wouldn't be surprised if he's fallen over in turbo shower. So the Seabold impact there, I think they start to crumble a little bit and fall back into the pack, the Manly Seagulls. So that's what we're liking. Now into the main event, probably what everybody's been looking forward to. Saturday evening at 7:35, we've got the Brisbane Broncos versus the Canberra Raiders, the weak gutted dogs. Line was at 14.5 an hour ago. It has now moved to 15.5 points. So the public heavily backing the Broncos for another demolition job on the Raiders. Looking at the lineups, though, Broncos sticking solid. No changes here. For Canberra, getting desperate. Jared Croker's coming back. My man Matt Frawley's bloody got injured, so he's gone. but Brad Schneider comes in. And outside of that, same shit Raiders team with no Jack Wyden. Apparently, they offered him what? Over 4 mil, 4.4 mil for 4 years?
Yeah, 1.1 a year for 4 years.
1.1 a year. He's 30 already.
That's Cleary money.
I know. And he's not
Put
someone
the
who
context.
relies on skill and footy IQ to win
Yeah,
games.
this
He's an
guy-
athlete. He's a fucking athlete, this bloke. And I don't see him getting any better. So you're going to be regretting that in a couple of years. But at the same time, who else can they get? Like, you don't save money by not spending the money in your cap. Like, it's not you might as well use it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Tough times, Canberra. What do you think? What are you thinking about this one? You don't like Canberra. You don't like
No,
Ricky?
I don't. And I loved 360 last night. I
Because
love
Kent was defending him?
Yeah, like, honestly, like, defending him to the point where he made a comment about Jerome Luai's best man speech should have been checked by someone in the NRL. Like, that's the fucking stupidest thing I've ever heard. And the fact that he goes, "Oh, this club are classless,"
Penrith
and
don't
everything
care
like that.
about raising good young men.
No, they don't. But yet, I'm like, that's like the worst thing that they've done since Cleary's TikTok. And meanwhile, Canberra Whiten's getting arrested for wrestling with Latrell. Curtis Scott there getting passed out and fighting police on
He had another
Australia
fight
Day.
on the weekend.
Yeah,
apparently.
he fucking teed off too. It was a good video. And their hooker getting charged and taking the police to court and stuff. Like, I'm sorry. Like, to me, it's a bit, bizarre that, and they've got players in the team that are done for eye gouging and shit, but yet Penrith aren't class.
And you have good guys like Papali'i. He's a great guy. Fuck.
Yeah.
How many times you get caught drink driving? You know?
Yeah. It's just, like, for me, we know everyone knew that Kent loves Ricky and protects Ricky, and we knew he hated Penrith, but last night was just a new level for me. Like, they hid the fact that this fucking Raiders team were terrible and have been terrible for years. They scraped in the 8 last year. Yes, they beat Melbourne week 1, but they got flogged in week 2. Haven't looked like winning a comp or threatening to win a comp. They had one chance against the Roosters. But having said that, I'm staying away from this game because this is the kind of game where all this shit is going to work and Canberra are going to show up and put a performance in that keeps it competitive. I'm tipping Broncos. I think Broncos will win, but
fuck yeah, $1.20.
That's my worry is, like, they should do it, but again, Canberra could just show up and I don't know, something could go fucking weird. So
they could. I do have a play on this game, and it's not what you think it is. I'm taking Canberra to score 11 to 20 points in this game. I think we got that for $2.20. This is purely on the. I think that my boys will pump them, and if not, we'll still win. We've just got talent all over the joint. Like, who are the players that I shit on in the past? Jordan Ricky. He's become one of the best kick chasers you'll ever see. He's like Matt Gillette. Have you seen the pressure he puts on fullbacks? He's not dropping the ball everywhere, which is excellent. He's scoring some tries. Katoni Stagg's doing some grunt work. Like, he's getting some meters happening. Jesse Arthurs, he's playing well, got a new deal. Reece Walsh is fucking horny as fuck. He's topping the Dally M charts at the moment, along with Payno. Pat Carrigan's everybody's second favorite player. He's got another video of him mic'd up. He's just great leader, smart bloke, wonderful hair, just talent across the park. He's got one of the best coaches in the NRL. He's in the top 12. old Kevy. But let's talk about why I'm taking Canberra Raiders 11 to 20 points. I think, they scored between 11 and 20 points in 4 of their 5 games this year. All 4 of those 5 games they lost. They still scored 11 to 20 points. My Brisbane Broncos have conceded 11 to 20 points in every game this year. So I could see us slapping them 30 to 12, 36 to 12. Canberra only play one half anyway. They'll score 12 in the second or 12 in the first. They did it last week, 12 in the first, and then nothing, right? Actually, no, they scored 1 try in the second half, I believe. But yeah, Canberra 11 to 12, the Broncos to pump. It's going to be a great show.
Put me down for that bet. I'm on. You've convinced me.
Yeah,
11 to 20.
Baby. Numbers.
We're in. Lock me in.
Yeah. All right, cool. You're locked in, so you've now.
I now have a play on that game. Here we go.
You now have a play on that game.
I'll go second.
But that'll round out your slutty Saturday. It's going to be an arousing one. Hopefully, both teams just get it. Like Panthers win by 30, Brisbane win by 30. I think if we absolutely pump the Raiders, we might move into second premiership odds. Brisbane Penrith grand final would be absolutely brilliant. So let's fucking make it happen. We'll just see. I think we'll dip around Origin. You guys probably won't, and that's where the difference is. So, but we're sitting pretty on the table at the moment, so I'm happy with that. Into your seedy Sunday. Kicking it off with a game that, just telling you now, I'm not touching this. Fuck both of these teams. But it's Titans versus the Dragons. The line is 2.5 points. The Titans are favourites in this one. Jaden Campbell's playing fullback with AJ out. Toby Sexton is in because Foz is out. And for the Dragons, they're playing the same 17 they had last week. So despite the excellent performance from the Dragons last week, they are still underdogs in this game. And that's most likely because it's at Seabus, and we know that the Titans only play well at home. So I'm not touching it. I didn't even really look at the lineup, so I don't want to go anywhere near this fucking game. But what are you thinking? You got a lot of bets on this week. Are any of them on this game?
There is one on this game. I got Dragons plus 2.5. Yeah, it's
You're a believer, are you?
I'm a bit of a believer.
Up the red V.
It's crazy these two teams played each other literally a few weeks back. Like that's the weird thing for me. So there is a bit of a form line to it.
Yeah.
Dragons flogged them that day, if you can't recall that. 32-18. And then history between the two teams, the Dragons don't mind playing the Titans. They beat them 46-26 last year. So they don't mind playing them. And then if I look at the Titans, they beat a very shit West Tigers round 1. They beat a very under strength Melbourne Storm, but they also lost to the Cowboys, who have basically been shit, and got flogged by the Dragons. Whereas the Dragons lost to Cronulla, but Cronulla are a class team. Lost to the Broncos, who are the fucking form team at the moment. And actually were keeping up with the Broncos for a bit also. But have flogged the Dolphins and flogged the Titans. So I think they're not as bad as the media are hammering them for. Again, I think they're better than the fucking Raiders. I think they got a better squad than the Dolphins. I think they're better than the Tigers. But yet they're copying more heat than these teams, which is stupid to me. They're 2 wins, 2 losses, and yet they feel like Griffin could have been gone. It has to reapply for his job. So I think they can go up there and at least keep it close. So I've taken plus 2.5.
Jesus. Well, this guy's begging for your attention. So I just want to Caviba. Luke, what are your thoughts on this? Titan, let's go. Go Titans.
Yeah. Titans, let's go. I like it. That's why I backed them. Titans, let's go. That's all I like.
You know what I think happens in this game, which I'm not going to play? I reckon either team, 13 plus, could be on here.
Yeah, I agree.
Either team, 13 plus. The Titans at home, if, Fafita explodes or the Dragons are sleeping and Jaden Campbell's sweeping around the back, he can cause a lot of damage. The Dragons can switch off very quickly. They could just be too hard. Don't want to do it. But also, the Dragons have been playing excellent. They've blown these motherfuckers out already. So, I think either 13 plus could be a shout here. What are the odds on that one? We're looking at $3.
Either team 13 plus. The other thing also, which I think will kind of... The only thing I looked at was also the points line, but 46.5 is massive. Like that's again,
massive. But we've seen a lot of games, if they're going over, they're going well over. Like,
$2.05 for either team 13 plus.
$2.05?
Yeah. Either team win 13 plus.
Jeez. Bookies are unbeaten, mate. Can't beat them.
Can't beat them. Join them.
My bloody mind. But let's get into another game. Probably one that we've got a bit more juice on here. Talking the Knights versus the New Zealand Warriors. The line in this one is 1.5 points. The Warriors are slight favourites in this one, despite it being played at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle. Total points, you'll get 42.5. Unfortunately, Tyson Gamble's out, but Phoenix Crossland will be partnering Jackson Hastings. And for the Warriors, Tamari Martin, all concussion team, back from a concussion. He's been named to return. And Tohu Harris, he's back as well. And DWZ, he's been added to the squad. So, yeah, I think it's two teams playing a lot better than anyone thought they would. I think this will be it'll be a great game in this one. I'm personally taking the Warriors because the Warriors are my second favorite team by far. I can't believe throughout that Cronulla game, I considered buying a Warriors jersey, and I've just played it out in my mind.
It's
If I
also,
wore that to work or on this show, people are like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
but it's a good looking jersey. I dig it. I
It's-
dig the jersey. I've seen a
it's
couple
not
of
bad.
TikTok reacts. I'm like, the jersey looks pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm leaning the Warriors in this one, but if you got to play, what are you thinking?
I've gone Warriors -1.5 as well. As I said last week, man, Warriors, people are sleeping on the Warriors, and I know I was crediting their defense and they just shat the bed at the start of the game, but Warriors teams in the past would have rolled over in those
Yes.
games. That was just awful start by them. I think they compete. No, that's why I thought defensively they were, because they compete on every play, and they did, and they got a lucky call, but they just, again, for me, the Warriors are good. It's weird. It's a consistent team now. So I think they've got more than enough to beat the Knights, who, again, I'm still not super convinced on.
No.
They literally dropped the guy, brought him in, and he scored 4 tries. I think that sums up where the club's at. Like, a bloke scores 4 tries and can't get a run, apparently, unless there's an injury.
Yeah.
Lockie Miller also backpedaling into the in goal.
What a start to the game.
It was a bit of
like, but if you were playing fullback, would you honestly tackle Olakawatu? He was fresh.
No,
Like, would you?
Nah, just fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing for me, the Knights, again, I don't understand why they're not under more pressure. They've won 2 games this year, and that is against the Tigers and the Raiders. That's the only teams they've beaten. Like, they've got the shittest resume, and they've had, like, if you look at their draw, the Warriors beat them week 1. That was with Ponga, mind you. They beat the Tigers, lost to the Dolphins, beat the Raiders, and drew to Manly. They haven't played the Warriors are the best team they've played, and the Warriors are good, but they're not like crazy good. Whereas the Warriors
are a 6 to 8 team. They'll
we're-
regress eventually, but playing very
whereas
well.
Warriors have beaten Cronulla, they lost the Roosters by 8, they beat the Cowboys, they've beat the Bulldogs. Again, a much better resume. I just think they can go up there and get the job done. I think Knights are a bit of an imposter team at the moment, personally. Cavi Bar, I see you, mate. Fucking come on, Warriors.
Fucking come on, Warriors. I think looking at last week, you can put it down to, I think, the Manly being bad and the Knights playing as well as the Knights play. The Manly were awful. Like, they were just walking through that game thinking it was going to be easy.
Yeah.
And they never flipped the switch. So they were just playing with their food and it bit them in the ass. Whereas, I think the Knights were playing as well as they possibly could and managed to pull out a draw. So I'm really liking the Warriors. The bald blokes, as I said last week, just stunning. How Dylan Walker continued to play it on after Jazz fucking fucked his knee up. Like, they didn't even strap him up. Like, 2 minutes later, he was out there running it, playing the 6. There's just so many likable players, you know. If DWZ plays and you can see that mullet flying around, that'll be great.
It is a strong. It's a strong team when you've got players like DWZ, Freddie Lussick, Volkman, and that not getting into that squad. I just love the obviously the big, and again, people forget they did that last week without Tohu Harris, which is probably their best player. They beat Sharks without Tohu Harris, and they're getting him back. So I like them. Yeah.
All on the Warriors, baby. Let's go. And all right, let's get into the final one. This is your we don't
Monday.
do many Mondays. Is it a Magic Monday? Is it a Munted Monday? I don't know. But the Tigers and the Eels are playing, and the line's 12.5 points. If you like totals, you're looking at 44.5 in this one. This is usually a strange fucking game every single year, and I never really like touching it, but I always seem to. What have the Tigers done with their spine this year? So this game, Dewey's back to 5'8", Staines is at fullback, Naden's back. Unbelievable. For the Eels, Sean Lane is back, so that's pretty awesome. But Jermaine Hopgood, hot on the bench. Hope he doesn't stay there. A lot of fuckers got him for fantasy. So Eels getting some back rowers back. What do you thought? I'm not don't have a bet on that one right now. But do you have any?
I do.
You do?
Para minus 12.5, and Sean Lane being in is the massive driver behind that. Plus the Tigers just chopping and changing all the time. Like Staines is back at Staines is shit. Like Dane Laurie must have done something wrong. I know he liked Selwyn Cobbo's post on Instagram
he
when
does
he scored.
things wrong all the time, apparently.
But like he's much better at fullback than little Mr. Charlie Staines. They're chopping and changing. Dewey doesn't that can't be good for the confidence. You're fullback now, you're 5'8", and you're back to fullback or centre. They move him. The only players that position save is Luke Brooks, which baffles me how. The way Ricky stepped him for that first try,
he didn't even touch him.
That was awful. Like it was, yeah.
And it happened like 3 times. He got beaten on the inside a few times, just like that.
Yeah, I just like it because again, Tigers are shit. Para, yes, they've won one game only against Penrith, but again, keeping it close against the Roosters last week, I thought was a highlight. The Manly game where they just capitulate in defense, but the other 2 losses are Melbourne and Cronulla. Again, their resume looks good. So
yeah, that's true. Old Stavros is out training tonight, ran into Dory and Sivo. He's got a hot pick. Dory to score this week. I don't know if he's probably playing off the bench, but he reckons Dory to score.
Okay. Noted.
Some insider info for you guys, and I shan't be touching it. But yeah, I think the Eels will win. I think it's just a matter of how much. I think the last game they played? It was only an 8-point win to Parramatta. 8-point win, and then prior to that, it was a 1-point win. But then if you go a little bit further, some demolition jobs from Parramatta there. So, yeah, I don't like watching the Tigers at all, to be honest. And Parramatta, almost full strength. This back row is dangerous as hell. So, Bryce Cartwright, he's kept his position at lock. Starting in the second row. Cardi party. So, that's pretty good. Matt Dory, I've just had a look. He's on the reserves list. So, thank you, Stavros.
Good tip, great tip again from Stavros. We should get Stavros in for a segment. Stavros tips. Give us one. Actually, he just gives us one tip a week.
I've tried to get Stavros on, but he's ducking us.
Is he? Okay.
He is. He's a coward. All right, let's real quick. Any upsets you foresee on the cards? Because obviously, favorites don't win every single game in the NRL. It does not happen.
That's why I went 6 and 8 in the last 2 weeks because favorites don't win.
Favorites don't win. So you've got the Dragons. They're slight underdogs.
They are, but let me see. Let me get all the rounds up here. Roosters maybe, but I still think Melbourne. I'm taking Melbourne. Fuck, this is a joker round for your footy tipping out there, just quietly.
Is it?
The Warriors Knights is a bit of a split 'em. That's probably it. I can see. I can't.
It's probably the Tigers. One of these shorties has to lose.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I'm not super confident.
Let's see if we can identify a trend real quick, and then we'll fuck right off. So last week, who was the shorty that lost? Souths weren't shorties, but a lot of people were backing them. Seagulls shit the bed as shorties. That was a pick 'em. Oh, the Sharks, actually. The Sharks were heavy favourites and they lost.
Yeah, I think they were 9.5 points?
Yeah.
6.5 or something, yeah.
Yeah, and then the week prior, we had Parramatta beat Penrith.
They were very underdog-ish.
Yeah, and then we had the Knights beat the Raiders. So
Yep.
2 upsets there. Moving into round 3.
Warriors, Dogs, I believe, was an upset as well then.
Oh, that was almost a pick'em, that one.
Yeah.
That was almost a pick'em. Then the week prior, so looking at round 3, you had Dolphins beat the Knights, Titans beat the Storm, Warriors beat the Cowboys. Actually, that's what you're referring to. And the Raiders beat the Sharks. So there was a lot of dog shit happening in round 3. And then into round 2, we had Dolphins beating the Raiders, Bulldogs beating the Storm. So there was 2 upsets there. And then in the opening round, what did we see? The Broncos beat the Panthers, and the Dolphins beat the Roosters. So there's always one, but in most cases, there's two. Where you're looking at someone $1.30 absolutely fucks you. So good luck in your footy tipping, mate. That's all I'll say.
I'll get 6 from 8 again.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's a steady wicket. You see on the fantasy, I clocked over 1,000. Light work.
You did. The other league I was in, there was like several people that clocked over 1,000. So I was like, yep, this isn't a good round.
What's happening?
There was 1, 2, 3 in my other league. Someone scored fucking 1,018.
Sheesh. No, it's coming. It's coming. Appreciate you, Huncho. You watch every single show, my bruh.
Yeah, appreciate it.
To close this out, join the Discord. Big things are happening. I've actually got some annual leave from my family next week. So from Monday to Friday, I'll be uploading every single day. NBA is back. I'll be diving deep. So get a load of that one, lads. Luke, as always, it's been a pleasure. We shall see you again next week. Good luck with your various bets. Hope we both end up in the positive this week. Not happy with this 53 and 55%. So let's move the needle, shall we?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. See you, lads.
See ya.
Sub to the channel cause your boy's getting busy. Coming to your line from the west side of Sydney. We've got the free picks and the juice and the daily.